Good afternoon, friends. Stephen Ben-Nun with Israeli News Live. The situation now starting to get really nasty inside of Syria. And it is obvious that once again, the United States and Israel, along with their ally Turkey, are the ones pushing to bring an end to President Bashar al-Assad's reign inside of this country. It will be a biblical disaster, to say the very least. It will be something that even the prophet Isaiah foresaw, and of course, he doesn't speak very highly of Israel in their actions against Syria, let alone that of Gaza and the total annihilation of a human race that is taking place right now. In fact, my good friend Charles on Twitter sent me a report of Amnesty International is claiming now that Israel is committing genocide inside of Gaza. And not only Gaza, but it seems like the entire region of the world. Here we have on Commersat.ru, they're saying here that the Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, recognized as a terrorist in Russia and banned group and mainstay of the armed opposition offensive in Syria, has declared its political ambitions. Islamist leader Abu Muhammad al-Jalani said the goal of intensifying military operations was to dismantle the central government over the past few days. His comrades have made significant progress, taking the city of Hama and are now targeting the province of Homs. Meanwhile, Turkish authorities have openly expressed hope that the militants will be able to reach Damascus. I'm sure with the help of the United States and that of Israel, that's going to exactly happen. But you know, it's sad, and I'm going to go into this in just a moment here. It is truly a biblical disaster waiting to happen, and no doubt will happen. The Moscow Times reporting Syria and Russia conduct deadly strikes to push back Islamist advance that are happening there in near Aleppo. And I'll share with you here this map right here. They took the city of Aleppo here, and Russia has been targeting inside of Idlib. Idlib is where the forces were pushed back during the time when Russia was really helping and Iran helping Syria to push those forces back away from Aleppo, and Aleppo has fallen to these forces before and again, once again has. That's in the northern part of the country. Notice Oladkia right here, this is where the Russian air base is, and it's a very dangerous situation for Russia right now. Russia does not have a lot of assets in the area, and them helping Bashar al-Assad is also putting them at risk, their soldiers at risk there, in a very vulnerable place there. Not to say that Russia doesn't have the asset to be able to protect themselves, but still very vulnerable nonetheless there. I want you to listen to this guy right here.
And we know
what he has to say, Jeffrey Sachs, Professor Jeffrey Sachs, and what he has to say about the CIA's involvement inside of Syria. Listen in.
Sent in the CIA to overthrow Assad. The CIA and Saudi Arabia together in covert operations tried to overthrow Assad. It was a disaster. Eventually it brought in both ISIS as a splinter group to the jihadists that went in. It also brought in Russia. So we have been digging deeper and deeper and deeper. What we should do now is get out and not continue to throw missiles, not have a confrontation with Russia. 7 years has been a disaster under Obama, continuing under Trump. This is what I would call the permanent state. This is the CIA, this is Pentagon, wanting to keep Iran and Russia out of Syria, but no way to do that. And so we have made a proxy war in Syria. It's killed 500,000 people, displaced 10 million. And I'll say predictably so, because I predicted it 7 years ago that there was no way to do this and that it would make a complete chaos. So what I would plead to President Trump is get out, like his instinct told him, by the way. That was his instinct. But then all the establishment, the New York Times.
Yeah, they're all going to tell you the other way around. Why? Because we always fight Israel's war. And Trump is going to do exactly that. By the way, Tucker Carlson, we'll be talking about him in a little bit. He interviewed Lavrov, and I can't wait to listen to that interview myself there. Let's take a quick look, though, biblically at what are we looking at. There are two prophecies that I look at specifically regarding this, Daniel 11 and Isaiah 17. Let me first go to Isaiah 17, and we know this is where it says, the burden of Damascus, behold, Damascus is taken away from being a city, and it shall be a ruinous heap. Now, that's not happened. Damascus has remained a city and never been a ruinous heap. It says, the cities of Aurora are forsaken, they shall be for flocks, which shall lie down, and none shall make them afraid. The fortress also shall cease from Ephraim, and the kingdom from Damascus. And the remnant of Aram, or the remnant of Syria, shall be as the glory of the children of Israel, saith the Lord of hosts. What does this mean here? This fortress shall cease from Ephraim. Well, Ephraim, like that of the house of Israel, remember Jesus sent his apostles into Syria, sent them abroad to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. The early church, remember Damascus, Paul was on his way to Damascus to lay waste to the church there. Why do you think Jesus stopped him on that road to Damascus? That was not the hour that Damascus was going to be laid waste. And Ephraim represents those early Jewish believers of the house of Israel, should say just house of Israelites, because they're not Jewish, they're the house of Israel. And they were believers, and it's been a stronghold for them. Bashar al-Assad has protected the Christian community in Syria all these years. He's been in power, as well as down through the ages now. They've been able to live in harmony with the Muslim community. Well, maybe not the radical ones that the United States is backing and that Turkey is backing, but at least most Muslims they can get along with. After all, Jesus' name is mentioned 25 times in the Quran. And yet Muhammad's name only, I think, 5 times in the Quran. I just got a beautiful video sent to me by a sister there, and God bless you for sending it to me there, of an Arabic man who was I believe he was a cleric that came out and believed Jesus because of the fact the only woman even mentioned in the Quran is Mary, or Miriam as she was called, Jesus' mother. That's a different subject altogether. Let me go back to Isaiah 17, though. The important thing is for what you're going to see here in verse 10. Well, actually, let me take you to King James Version here, verse 9. In that day shall his strong cities be as a forsaken bow, and the uttermost branch which they left, because of the children of Israel, and there shall be desolation. Because of the children of Israel. That's why. Because you have forgotten the God of your salvation. So Israel, as you are laying waste to Syria right now through your proxies, it is written by the prophet Isaiah because you totally forgot the God of your salvation. But it doesn't end there. It also goes to the Christians that are supporting you. And hast not been mindful of the rock of thy strength. Isn't Jesus Christ the rock? See? Therefore shall you plant pleasant plants, and shall set it with strange slips. That's like an adulterous affair, bringing in all these foreign fighters there to fight and to overthrow a nation that was living at peace. You cannot be happy unless you're out there just bringing about some kind of chaos. God have mercy on your sinful souls for what you're doing. In Daniel 11, Daniel also notes here, and they do not translate it correctly, at the time of the end shall the king of the south push at him, and the king of the north shall come against him like a whirlwind. You make it look like the king of the north is coming to attack Israel, but it doesn't even say that in the Hebrew language. It says right there that the king of the south, or the king of the Negev, which is the king of the Negev desert, Israel, he will push Imo, in blue there, Imo, which means with him. You can't translate that any other way but with him. And with who? He pushes with the king of the north, and what does he do? It says right here in the dark blue right there, or the green, that he comes over him. Actually, the over him is Eliav, over him like a storm. The king of the north, Melekatzifon, Berekevet, he comes over with his chariots and his horsemen and with many ships. He comes in there. And he enters into the countries. See, let me find out in Hebrew for you. There it is right there. Ba'atzot, dark blue right there. He comes in, and he literally, Uba, Ba'atzot. He comes into the countries. But how does he do it? He's going over them. What, over who? Over Israel. Into the Middle East, Syria, Iran, Iraq. Overthrowing all those countries. Just like General Wesley Clark said they would do. These are the prophecies that are laying right there before you being fulfilled. So the state of Israel, along with the United States, being pushed by the evangelical or the Zionist, evangelical Zionist, are the ones that are driving this. And Isaiah accuses both of you. He accuses both of you. One's not mindful of their God, and the other's not mindful of their rock or their stronghold. Jesus Christ shows both Jews and Christians both are at fault there. And he clearly says that forsaken from before the children of Israel. You know, I mean, it's such a mess. Such a mess in what they've done. Anyway, that's the Hebrew there, but if you look at the English here, because of the children of Israel, there shall be desolation. I'll tell you what a mess. What a mess. Anyway, Lavrov sat down with Tucker Carlson here, Eurasia Daily says, and with the interview, and Russia is ready for negotiations. And I want to play just a little short clip right here for you. Where Tucker asked him, are we at war with Russia? Listen in.
But the United States is funding a conflict that you're involved in, of course, and now is allowing attacks on Russia itself. So that doesn't constitute war?
We officially are not at war. But what is going on in Ukraine is some people call it hybrid war. I would call it hybrid war as well. But it is obvious that the Ukrainians would not be able to do what they're doing with long-range modern weapons without direct participation of the American servicemen. And this is dangerous, no doubt about this. We don't want to aggravate the situation, but since ATACMS and other long-range weapons are being used against mainland Russia, as it were, we are sending signals, and we hope that the last one, a couple of weeks ago, the signal with the new weapon system called the Reshnik,
yes,
was taken seriously. However, we also know that some officials in the Pentagon and in other places, including NATO, they started saying in the last few days something like, well, NATO is a defensive alliance, but sometimes you can strike first because the attack is the best defense. Some others in Stratcom, I think, Buchanan is his name, representative of Stratcom, he said something which allows for an eventuality of exchange of limited nuclear strikes. And this kind of threats are really worrying, because if they are following the logic which some Westerners have been pronouncing lately, that, well, don't believe that Russia has red lines. They announce their red lines. These red lines are being moved again and again and again. This is a very serious mistake. That's what I would like to say in response to this question.
The thing is, and you rarely get to hear Lavrov speak in English. I know he spoke English, but you don't normally hear him do interviews in English like that. So I'm very appreciative that he did, so that the American people can see Russia's position on things like this. Of course, those that may not know, he's the foreign minister of Russia, has been for many years so far. And it does appear that they are trying to extend an olive branch of peace with knowing that Trump is coming in, and quite frankly, it seems to me that they have been holding off ever since because of that. And they're not holding off in the case of Ukraine. They have certainly continued on with that battle, but like he said, they sent a special message by some of the weapons that they have used recently, that they do have a lot more in their arsenal than just some of these nuclear bombs and some of these hypersonic missiles that we have been seeing in this war game here. So they're letting the world know, if you go to really push us, we do have capabilities that could really wreak havoc upon your own population there. But I appreciate the fact that Russia is trying to be reserved, and it seems more, unfortunately, that the West is more provocative against Russia and trying to provoke Russia into a war. So anyway, hopefully that will calm down and these things will kind of finally go by the wayside. One thing I do want to mention here, and this here, just back here in October, former President Jimmy Carter reached 100 years old. And I have to say, I used to think that other presidents were better and things like that, but this man's life of service is truly, for a modern day president, is probably the most true to the core of Jesus Christ than any other president that we've ever had. I know that because of the hostage situation that happened in Iran and how that went bad, and the rescue operation and the crashing of the helicopters, it made everything look bad. That probably cost him the ability to defeat Ronald Reagan in his second round of presidency there. But that man there has stood for the right things in life, trying to bring about peace around the world. He has stood for the Palestinians and their oppression better than any president there ever has been. Even after leaving office, he has fought for those rights. And I used to not like the guy at all very well, because I used to be too pro-Zionist. But as my eyes came open to what the truth of the matter is and the way Christ would look at this, he's probably the best president this country has ever had in modern times, I would say anyway. So God bless him, and I'm sure that's why God has given this man a very long life and has kept him in very good shape. He even was still working on the Project of Humanity, where they go and they build homes as late as when he was 95 years old, still using a nail gun out there. Not a whole lot, naturally at 95, but anyway, I just wanted to commend him as our former president. I think it's the 39th president of the United States, if I remember right. I remember him as a young man. He was president back when I was in middle school, actually. And so I do remember him very well going into high school. I was in high school, not middle school, because I was in high school in 1979. So I believe that's when he was president. Anyway, God bless you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the support of our broadcast here. Don't forget, visit our website, IsraeliNewsLive.org, and you can help support the broadcast by donating online or by mail. And with all this crazy stuff going on in the world, it might not be a bad idea to consider the EMP shield. And you might definitely want to check out this letter here about open letter to the 5 docs about my father-in-law. That's still it's an ongoing issue. It got some very interesting news just the other day, so I think people are going to find some very interesting things in the not so distant future regarding this case here. It was pleasantly surprising. I'll just say it that way there. Anyway, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and good afternoon.